good morning and welcome back to another video. And today we're talking about what can you do with a home gym? What do you have access to? What can you makeshift? Can you actually gain muscle without a gym? Can you maintain it? What does it take? And perhaps slaying a few myths as well. Don't worry, I got you. Let's get into it. Okay, so as always, I've prepared a few notes because there's a couple of key things that I want to touch base on. And the first thing is that, yes, okay, it does suck that a lot of gyms are closing around the world. And we don't really know how long this is going to go on for. For the foreseeable future, it looks like it could be a couple of months, all the way up to 6. We don't know, we can only make guesses. Regardless of the fact, we can still make things happen and we can still do other things in the meantime to continue with our training. Now, if you're on this channel, it means you have some interest in training, nutrition, and lifestyle. And you probably want some more of the scientific knowledge and something that's a little bit more accurate and less, shall we say, bro-science-y? Okay, well, in that case then, I'm gonna delve into a few key points that will satisfy your cravings, put your mind at ease, and also give you the confidence that you can continue to progress in your training and you don't have to make it that complicated at all. The first thing I want to talk about is resistance. So, resistance is resistance. Okay, well, yes and no. We are used to having a gym, which is very luxurious, okay, it's very convenient, it's very bespoke, it's very specific to loading muscle. That's what gyms are for. They are, environments where we have machines where they are designed specifically to load certain muscle groups and move through different and varying given ranges of motion. Okay, so it's very easy for us, and we've obviously adapted these over the years and we keep coming up with better machines, etc. But the basics have been the basics for a while when we look at the free weight variations. Now, if we can load a muscle, what you need to know is we can grow a muscle. Obviously, if I'm doing it with something super light, there's not enough actual mechanical tension, okay, on that muscle to stimulate growth. But as long as there is a certain specific amount and we can do a certain rep range and we can actually activate that muscle group effectively, we are going to be able to grow it. It might mean that, once again, as I've often mentioned in my other videos, we have to work in different rep ranges though. So, you can use your body weight, okay? People often scoff at body weight and they're like, oh, it's not that much. Okay, well, bust out 10 pull-ups for me. Bust out 50 press-ups. Most people can't even do that because you're using your own body weight. So if you think about what you weigh, that's kind of what you're pressing and pulling to a degree without going to the fulcrums and the levers, etc. And again, more in-depth knowledge, shameless plug, in my academy. I keep telling you, go do it, go do it. Go and check the links in the description. While you're there, make sure like, comment, subscribe. Yep, I'm gonna be that guy. Feel like an asshole, but it helps the channel grow, especially now why screen time's up, and it helps people, improve their health and fitness and not believe so much in the minutiae and the bullshit. You might have to change things a little bit in terms of the rep ranges and the exercise specifics that you're actually doing, but you can still load these muscles, and more on that in a moment. So again, resistance is resistance. You can still create resistance without a gym, without the perfect equipment that we're all so much used to, okay? We got a bit lazy. It's kind of like a dishwasher now versus back in the day when we had to do our own dishes, etc. And some of us probably still do. Maintaining muscle tissue versus growing it. I've touched base on this a little bit. Okay, fundamentally, if you're still a beginner and intermediate in terms of your development of your physique, so this is not based on necessarily your exercises that you're doing or your actual chronological age. This is based on your intelligent training age. So how developed is your physique based on what you've been doing so far, training age in the gym? How long have you been exposing yourself to weights? But more specifically, how long have you been exposing and training yourself to weights and doing it in an intelligent fashion, which means doing things that are actually potent and congruent to achieving results, okay? Now, a lot of us, we might say, hey, I've been in the gym for 5 years, but you've only been training maybe effectively for 1 or 2 years, if that. This is why we see a lack of development in a lot of physiques in the gym, people training in there for years and years and years, and they're not actually getting, the results they want. They're not growing much lean muscle tissue after the beginner phase where you can do anything. They're not, losing copious amounts of body fat, etc. So those things, okay, intelligence, training intelligence, doing the basics, but making sure that over time you're progressively overloading, your nutrition is alignment, you're getting enough rest and recovery, and you understand how to manipulate, you know, volume, frequency, and intensity, and actually gauge your programming, or you've recruited the help of a personal trainer or a coach to be able to help you do that, which I think even I do myself, we should all do, okay? If you are a beginner and an intermediate, you can maintain and grow muscle mass, obviously, a lot quicker, a lot easier to a degree than someone who's been training intelligently for, you know, a period of time, 1, 2, 3, 4 years intelligently, and they've milked the shit out of their gains. Genetics aside, okay? So for someone who's more advanced, it's gonna be a little bit more challenging, but even then, we can still maintain muscle mass. It just means that growing it might be a little bit more challenging because the amount of volume and stimulus that, as an advanced lifter, that we have to put into that muscle to grow it might be just a lot more. But again, that might be a case of just understanding and tracking those metrics and making sure you're still progressively overloading, even at home or with whatever you've got. We've talked about RPE as well. So making sure that, hey, we're not completely killing ourselves, especially now because, you know, the virus is there, we don't want to lower the immunity, but it might mean that we're working a little bit closer to failure, we're doing a few more reps than we normally would to actually stimulate muscle, maintain it, and if possible, grow it at this time. Now, if you're a beginner and intermediate athlete, you're going to be able to do that. So I've had a lot of people say, oh, you know, I'm not going to be able to, you know, maintain, all my physique's going out the window. It's like, well, no, it's not. If we start to break it down, you still start to, you know, train these muscle groups frequently throughout the week, whether it's body weight, whether it's using milk jugs, okay, whether it's using bands, whether you've got a few weights, you make the best of it, okay, and you're still going to be able to progress. Springboarding off that comment, main movements. So let me break it down for you now. You might have to get a bit creative with this, and I've got some clips that are going past here at the minute with a home gym specifically. And don't worry guys, I've already done a bodyweight one, and I've got more on bands and milk jugs and all those things. So depending, whatever your environment, whatever you've got or whatever you've not got, will still provide some education and some movements that you can do. You can still do everything with nothing, okay, if you understand these movements. So the main movement patterns are the same as in the gym, okay? So we've got squat variations, which means that we're hinging at the hips and the knees, and we're going into a squat fashion. So think, you know, front squats, back squats, split squats, we've got hack squats, we've got leg press variations, etc. Now, you can do all that by just doing a squat. And if you can't do a squat properly, this is a great opportunity to learn and do some body weight squats and perhaps do them onto a seat or a couch, and then you can load them up. You can do front goblet squats by holding onto something heavy. You might get a backpack and put cans in it, etc. And if you've got the access to a barbell, you can do that. Or vice versa, you know, you've got a barbell, you can do back squats. Well, that's ideal, right? You've got hip hinge variants, okay, where we're hinging from the hips, or deadlift variants, where again, we're generally using more of the posterior chain. Again, you can makeshift that. You might have some shopping bags, etc. that you can use. You might have access to a barbell, milk jugs, etc. You might even do body weight, but you might hold on to something. Again, makeshift it. Hip hinge movements, like I've said, hinging mainly from the hips. Look at your Romanian deadlift variants, etc. Okay, then we've got our vertical and horizontal presses and pulls. So training, you know, it's quite simple when we look at the main variations. So that might be an overhead press versus lying on the ground and doing some sort of chest press, okay, or floor press. It might mean doing a towel roll or a rack chin pull-up that I've been through in my other video. That's using, say, a table or a chair. You might have access to a pull-up bar, okay? You might do some cable rows, okay? You've got everything sorted, and then you've got your isolation and flying movements. So single joint movements, okay? So flies, bicep curls, tricep extensions. Again, get creative. You could do dips. That's more of a compound movement, but if you've not got any cables or anything like that, you could get a can and do an overhead extension, etc. You can do cable curls. You can do curls with shopping bags like I've done in previous videos. So there's lots of things you can do if you think about the categoric movement patterns and then try to replicate those as well. And even if you've got a little bit of equipment, I would always stick to that. So when we program, we always want to use those as the backbone of our programming, and we want to program from the biggest, the compound, multiple joint, multiple, okay, muscle group movements, down to the isolation, because that is the order of priority if we think about it in terms of training intelligence, okay, for the most part. Last 2 points I want to make. The first one is, it doesn't have to be perfect. Guys, don't worry about it. It's not a perfect scenario. Things are really transient. Things are changing from day to day. There's so much at the minute that is up in the air. and we don't know what's going to be happening. So don't stress about being perfect, following a perfect plan, etc. Understand the fundamental principles, make the best of what you've got, listen to your body. This is a great opportunity, as I've said to my clients, to implement all of the habits, all of the behaviors, all of the main underlying principles to see how we're going without using the metrics and being so rigid with tracking and measuring and manipulating. We still need to track some of the main metrics, sure, but we should be able to at some point walk away from those and use a little bit of intuitiveness and what I like to call common sense, okay? To actually still progress. After all, that is kind of the goal. At some point, you're not going to be able to, and you probably don't want to track every single metric because you're going to have different periods of your life. You might have a family, you might go on a holiday. The whole point is to be able to do this intuitively. Like, I'm hungry, I'll eat some food. Great. And it's actually a true reliable signal rather than something that has become a bad habit because you've corrected that over time. So again, guys, progress, not perfection. Don't overthink it. And the last point is test your education. So for the coaches and the personal trainers listening, this is a really, really good opportunity for you guys, okay, to be able to help your clients, educate them, whether you're training them online, whether you're doing live, workshops, Skype calls, whatever it is, seminars, whatever you want to call them, or you're able to train your clients one-on-one in person at a home gym facility, and you've not got access to a lot of equipment. This is a great time to educate yourself and them on all of these movements. It's a time to build your library, to build your repertoire, to be able to dial it in. So when you go back in the gym and you've got access to all this beautiful equipment, it doesn't mean then going and doing stupid things that are unnecessary, but it might give you a few of the tools to your arsenal when you've got clients who can't move through given certain ranges of motion, or perhaps there's certain movements where they're lacking skill in, you can build that in. So there's a lot of positives that come. It will make you think, it will make you a more well-rounded and, a more educated coach because you've got to now think. You don't have the luxury of just being able to jump on a machine and that's going to work that specific muscle group. You always want to look for those free weights and those more compound movements anyway because they are more challenging and they're generally going to give you more value. Although they are more advanced, it is a progression schedule. So guys, that pretty much wraps us up for today. I'm going to leave it there. As you've seen in some of the clips that have been flying by, this is what I've been doing with some of my clients and good friends in access to a home gym. I've got the luxury of being able to do that. We've not got everything. We've been making the best at what we've got. I've been doing some home workouts as well. I've been designing, as I said to you before, all different variations which will be available soon on my website. If you want some quality information, training, nutrition, lifestyle, you want exercise regimes, you want to understand the principles, you want to get off the hamster wheel, okay? You don't want to listen to the bullshit. You want recipes, okay? You want smoothie recipes, quick recipes, okay? All different types, breakfast, lunch, dinner, etc. You want all this quality information, lifestyle stuff as well, entertaining videos. Guys, go into my academy, link in the description right now, FTU Academy. It's like Netflix, okay? It is the Netflix of fitness. We're just getting started. It's $10 a week right now because I want to be able to give something that's valuable and affordable so you can still carry on improving all of these factors because it is multifactorial. It's not just about doing some fucking home workouts because there's a million of those and there's never been a shortage. It's about understanding the principles so you can still progress in any scenario, okay? So we're looking at the foundational principles which you can't see, that bit of the iceberg that you never see, the foundations of the house that keep it standing that you never see. That is the thing you need to learn. When you learn these things, you'll get off the hamster wheel and be able to do them for yourself and things will start to make sense. And then you can change all of the icing and the toppings. That's easy, but learn how to make the cake first. So guys, make sure you jump in and check that out. You can subscribe and cancel anytime. And as always, make sure to like the video if you like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear this, who will benefit from this. Comment with anything that you're not sure of, ask some questions, okay? Think about it. Take everything with a grain of salt. And of course, make sure to subscribe for many other videos. And of course, until next time, stay fearless and I will see you guys tomorrow.